Welcome to News with a View, a Fat Cat production, hosted by me, John Costa. Today is July 21st, 2025, and this is episode 107. If you're new to this program, I take the news that's reported either by the liberal media or the conservative media, and I dissect it. I look at it, and I look at facts, and then I put my spin on it, which is always the correct spin. But it's a conservative spin. But here's the deal. If the right makes a good point, I'm going to point it out. If the left makes a good point, I'm going to call it that way. If either side makes bad points, I'm calling it out. It must conform to the laws and our Constitution. So, today is going to be 45 minutes to an hour. Lots of ranting. Bob in New York, be prepared for ranting. Today we're going to be Jabbar threatens prosecution against Obama's administration officials for treasonous conspiracy. There must some now. Threatens prosecution. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I look at that as going, you're painting a picture that you shouldn't be painting. Okay. More about Colbert's cancellation. Oh, how will we all sleep ever again? All right. And then Trump denies another Wall Street report, this time on Powell and Besant. As I said in yesterday's, of course, we know that Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal for billions of dollars, defamation against my good name. And this has been a very good position for Trump to take. I'm just going to move that a little bit closer. I know the audio is good. Everything's wonderful. My podcast is going good. Looking over here, I'm actually recording today, so that's good. Yesterday's show went up on YouTube late last night. It was my fault. And that show will also go on Rumble and Facebook sometime today. It is about almost 96 degrees outside here, with a heat index of over 104. I was working on the car a little bit earlier today, and I said, that is it for me. I got beat up pretty bad the last couple of days working on that car. Making progress every time. All right, let's get to it. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, called for several Obama administration officials to face criminal prosecution for participating in treasonous conspiracy surrounding the 2016 election. And she did that Friday afternoon. The latest example of the Trump administration targeting critics of the president. Now, this came out of well, I took it off of MSN. I don't know where it originally came from. But you could see how they go. Trump is targeting, not targeting. Not targeting. Investigating is not targeting. They're not being targeted. They're being investigated. So that is a huge difference on how people read it. They go, oh, look, they're doing it again. No. In a newly declassified report, the DNI reported on Friday, alleged officials manipulated and withheld key intelligence from the public related to possibilities of Russian interference in the election. Tulsi went on to say, no matter how powerful every person involved in the conspiracy must be investigated and prosecuted to the full extent of the law to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. Now, we know what happened. The Department of Justice always declines comments on the DNI's comments, and mostly if she sent information to the Department of Justice to be looked into, they're not going to make a comment. So that's not unusual. But that's something that they could put in there because, hey, we asked the Department of Justice and there was no comment from them. So they're not lying. The ODNI's memo names former DNI Director James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former FBI Director James Comey, among others allegedly involved in the White House's review of possible Russian meddling in the election. Now, again, not seeing the reports and don't know. Too early to tell. But we all know that Hillary Clinton provided a false dossier saying that Trump was a Russian asset and paid for by Hillary Clinton and then fed on through the Democratic machine up to the president. Now, I'm sure the president knew what was going on. He wasn't running again. Hillary was running. And it looked like Hillary was going to take the election, so he wasn't really too worried about it. You know, this would just fade away. It didn't. And after almost 10 years, is alive and well. Virginia's Senator Mark Warner, of course a Democrat, blasted the DNI head, Tulsi Gabbard, as not competent. Warner, the Democratic vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, was at an Aspen Security Forum in Colorado discussing the nation's liquidity for intelligence gathering under President Donald Trump when he gave his scathing assessment of Colbert. And this came out of The Hill. Tulsi Gabbard is not competent to be the director of the national intelligence. Warner told moderator Peter Baker at the event on Friday, "I believe she is trying to politicalize the workforce and work product, and that makes America less safe." Well, sir, what happened when the Democrats pull out all their nonsense with Trump? You got Jasmine Crockett running around. You got you got Pelosi running around. Water's been pretty quiet. They've been trying to keep Green quiet. But you know what? We're going to bring this up every time. We're not going to let America forget, and we're not going to let this just, well, that's politics, politics 101. No, what the Democrats did was try to throw an election with false claims that were then amplified by our security forces in our government to make them appear to look real, that they needed to be investigated. And, where there's smoke, there's fire. And now, I don't know. I don't know if I could vote this way. I don't know. If this is true, and, the CIA and everyone else is saying, giving it these stories credibility. So then all of a sudden these stories got legs and they start walking around. This wasn't, some news organization saying something or political group throwing mud. This was outright manipulation and outright lies. And not lies that, this guy drinks on Sundays when he should be at church. Not that type of lie. These were lies that would have gone, and they wanted to bring him up on charges of treason. And they knew that it would never go anywhere. But people would have to sit back and go, I don't know. So I think the DNI director is absolutely correct in her saying that this should never, ever, ever happen again. And the only way that happens is you punish the people that did it. You don't say, let's be more vigilant and make sure, no. You do that, but also the people that did it, and not the people that were, a lot of these people that were underneath these people, because they're just, clicking their heels and following orders. But you had a lot of people in the State Department, you had a lot of people in the CIA, you had a lot of people in the FBI and the NSA that knew this is false. But because Hillary was running, they weren't going to make waves, these people, because this could be a huge tilt factor. And Comey, of course, did that to Hillary, 5 days before the election. So when you have the government involved with politicians in an investigation, days before an election or during the election process, during the primaries, during debates, that can cause havoc. And the information has to be credible. And they knew it wasn't credible. And they allowed it to go forward. No one expected Trump to win. No one expected it. Remember Hillary's big birthday, or big celebration bash that never happened? She didn't even come out and say, I lost. So, this will be big news if the DOJ indicts. If the DOJ doesn't indict, then, you'd have to say, okay, can we ask why you didn't? And the obvious answer would be because we had no proof of any wrongdoing. We had no proof of that. Now, it's my belief that they have proof. And these people are in trouble. And we'll see what happens. But right now, they're not charged with anything. Go have a wonderful dinner, go spend time with your family, take a vacation, do what you want to do. These are just, as the article said, threatens prosecution. And you could be threatened with prosecution. They could come to me and go, hey, if you do something illegal, we're going to prosecute you. And you go, okay. Well, I wasn't going to do anything illegal, so I don't have to worry about being prosecuted. Now, the idea of intimidation, now that could be a little different. I don't like the idea of people being told, you better be looking over your shoulder every day, pal. Well, that's intimidation. What? I didn't. You got something on me? No? Then why should I be looking over my shoulder? See, that's intimidation. And I'm not for that. It gets done all the time. It shouldn't. I don't like it. See, Bob, we agree on something. All right, now this will make my friend Bob in New York very upset. Colbert, Stephen Colbert, was canceled as of May 2026. My belief is that he will be fired way before that. And the networks know that Colbert, every show he'd bash. For 3/4 of the show, he'd bash President Trump. And CBS always gave him creative content right. Go ahead, do what you're going to do. Just make sure, we don't get in trouble and you don't get in trouble. Have at it. Well, his ratings have been in the mud, as in a lot of the late night talk shows. Been in the mud. And, of course, CBS, Paramount, is being sold to Skydance. Skydance, Ellison, conservative. Kind of everyone knew what was going to happen here. That Colbert would probably end his contract. At the end of his contract. He'd fulfill his contract. And now everyone is saying it's because Sundance made some type of deal with Trump to get rid of Colbert as part of the settlement of Trump's lawsuit. I'll tell you right now, that is nothing illegal with that. It might raise a few eyebrows, but it's not illegal. Hey, I'll settle with you, and the 16 million and then the 15 million for my thing, whatever they would work out is perfectly legal. And I want Colbert gone. I want him gone. And they probably turned around and said, listen, we're not going to fire him. Hasn't done anything that broke our standards and practices. And I'm sure it went back and forth, and they go, hey, listen, how about in May, his contract's up. 2026, his contract's up. We'll just won't agree to re-up him. Well, Trump might have said, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Now, I'm sure you'll never find it in the paperwork, but you'll find people that will say this was discussed. And it was a gentleman's agreement. Or Sundance people got together and said, listen, if we take over the company and, looks like it's going to happen, CBS, you make the announcement that he's gone. It's not going to be renewed. You and I discussed this. He's still employed by you. You give him the bad news. That seems more like it to me. The show had been losing, $40 million a year for years. And Skydance is, I'm sorry, I keep calling it Sundance, but Skydance just is saying, we're not going to, there's no chance of him becoming funny and getting people in here. He's got as many left people as he's going to get. They don't buy things, they steal things. So they're not out there buying Teslas. They're not out there buying cars. They're not out there buying, houses. They're not out there. They're not. These are kids, college kids, who are watching him. So get rid of him. Jimmy Kimmel's next, as far as I'm concerned. ABC is, they're losing millions per week with that guy. He proved to be a liability. Finish him off. Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's clever. Of all of them, he was clever and smart and knew how to lay it on and be funny somewhat about it and clever. All right, I can get there. He's gone. And I'm sure it's going to be sooner than later. John Oliver. These people are going to be gone. You had your moment. Now, we could see that Trump can sue us, and we don't want to go there. You're just not worth the headache. And in reality, stations that were showing the Beverly Hillbilly reruns were getting a better market share than these shows. So, they were gone. And, of course, the network had said, of course, this was purely a financial decision in a declining broadcast industry. Now, that should make the stock do great. Okay? ESPN and MSNBC veteran Keith Olbermann, who has been through the TV cancellation ringer several times, made a point on X over the weekend. He responded to a woman who said, "We are officially at the pulling comedians off the air who criticize our dear leader phase of fascism." And he reported back to her and he goes, "Sorry, that's not what happened here. If it had, they wouldn't have kept them on until next May." Now, you're trying to be reasonable. Can't be reasonable with liberals. And so, everyone's saying it's a $16 million settlement and stuff. $16 million to Paramount was nothing. But Colbert bashed the decision on the Late Show last Monday, liking that $16 million settlement to a big fat bribe. Now, when you accuse the company that you're working for that they gave a bribe, I'm going to tell you how that works out for you. Don't walk in through the front door. This way we don't have to escort you out. We'll empty your desk out for you and park it right out in front of the building here for you to pick up. They'll take everything that's in your drawer that belongs to you, not the company. We'll box it up for you. Then, last Friday, the Writers Guild of America encouraged the New York State Attorney General to investigate Colbert's cancellation as a possible bribe, too. They're not going to do it. Because that would mean Paramount conspired. Trump conspired. The lawyers for both companies conspired. This is the ridiculousness of the Democrats and the liberals. Telling a privately held company, when I say privately held, they have shareholders. But they have nothing to do with the government other than the FCC regulations on them. And they're being told you can't fire, you can't end a show. Yeah. Who wants to take away democracy again? Trump, right? Trump's taking away democracy. So, Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy probably gave the best response. He bashed Stephen Colbert on Saturday, calling the late night host ungrateful after Colbert's show was axed by CBS in what the network claimed was a financial decision. For these people, including like Colbert, to be like, this isn't really right, and we were blindsided. Buddy, you were losing $40 million a year, Portnoy said in a video posted on social media platform X, citing one estimate of the show's losses to Reuters. Portnoy went on to say that Colbert should not have criticized his network so strongly, especially if his show is losing money. The New York Times estimated that the show's losses were in the tens of millions of dollars. Portnoy then said, I'd fire you in an effing heartbeat. That's not politics. That's just being ungrateful. This is called capitalism in the real world. There you go. There you go. Colbert thinks he's something special and shouldn't be fired. The people that like Colbert said that he should not be fired. He's an institution. He didn't say anything so bad. He's allowed an opinion. He has the right to say that. And you're absolutely correct. And CBS would have the right to fire him. Isn't that absolutely correct too? Just checking to make sure I'm still doing everything here. So, you want to bash the president all the time? You want to be edgy? Think you're smarter than everyone else? How'd that work out for you? Blindsided? Helen Keller could have seen this coming. You thought you were going to continue your ways? You weren't a late night talk show anymore. Just like Kimmel, you are a political outlet for anyone but. And I would say you go to MSNBC, but that's what their show is about. They are the left. Fox, to the right. We all know that. Colbert, Kimmel, Jon Stewart, they're all this is supposed to be a funny show, comedy, some laughs, with some celebrities on there. Hey, when you were over here, did you hear that? Did you see that? How's this movie you're working on? Everyone says you're fighting. But that's not what it was about. And when Biden was in there, everything Biden did was, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. Look how smart he is. Look how wonderful he is. Look how bright he is. Look at Donald Trump. He stumbled over this word. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And then comes out that Biden has some problems. Now, I don't blame him for having some problems. He's 80 years old. You hear me babble up here sometimes and get stuck on words. So that happens. I get it. But to say, no, that didn't happen. No. MAGA lies, the right, they're liars. And then the truth starts coming out. These people were nothing but shills. Disguised as a talk host. Late night talk host. It's a talk show. It's like the Johnny Carson show. Like Phil Donahue. It's nothing like that. Now, CBS put up with it. Because if they didn't, they'd be like, oh my God, CBS, they're just, they're caving in. CBS had enough money to cover $40 million. And what happened to Conan? He wasn't about bashing the president. He was making jokes. And Jay Leno, making jokes and just, rolling. Everyone had their turn in the barrel with these guys. Gone because they did not have a political agenda. That was being steered. This idea stores, they're going to put protesters in front. No, we love gays. Give me a gay person, I'll kiss them on the lips. Because they were afraid. And now people are going, don't care. You want to protest? Go protest. Try to block people coming into my store and you're going to see how bad things get for you. So you better keep it on the up and up or we're going to have you arrested. And, hire a protester. These weren't people. These weren't moms and dads out there. These weren't people that were being... These were paid people. By the left, by the Soroses, by others that were just as bad as the Soroses. So, I can't wait for Kimmel to go, and I can't wait for... Well, I like Jon Stewart. I like Jon Stewart. He was clever. I can get there. John Oliver? Absolutely not. He sucks. And not because they have a difference of an opinion. It's because they're just not funny. It's not clever. They suck. I said they suck. All right. Don't care. It just wasn't... You guys weren't funny. And it was the same thing over and over and over again. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I know, Bob. Who will you watch? Oh, there'll be plenty of others stepping up, Bob. Don't worry about it. All right. More Wall Street Journal. Brouhaha by Trump. Trump denies another journal report, this time on Powell and Besant. Now, these are head agency people. So, President Trump responded angrily on Sunday to a Wall Street Journal story that Treasury Department Secretary Scott Bessent had personally sought to talk him out of trying to fire, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. And of course, we all know that Trump is currently suing the Wall Street Journal over a letter that Trump is alleged to have sent to Jeffrey Epstein, 20, 30 years ago. But they're saying that Trump has aggressively been trying to fire Powell over his handling of interest rates. Legal scholars do not believe Trump has the authority to oust the Fed chair unilaterally, and reports that he might try to do so. That has caused problems in the market. So I will say that the talk did rattle the market a bit, and there was some little worry because the Fed chair, that's saying how the money, excess money and our debt and everything is handled. So, it's like the old commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks. Everyone listens, When Powell speaks, the market reacts. The fact that legal scholars say that Trump doesn't have unilaterally, he doesn't. But he can fire him if he can show that he hasn't been able to do the job properly. Now, there's some wrangling inside the Beltway on that. And you have people saying that, yeah, the interest rate should be lowered. And that would bump the economy going, but it could also, it takes money out of the banks and then puts it into the stock market because everyone's going to try to get a larger yield. And you raise it to get a handle on inflation. And he's saying, well, we got kind of inflation at a point where we could lower it a percent, whatever, 0.25%. But Powell knows that if he were to lower it 0.25%, Trump would have said 0.5% or 3% or, whatever. And that's why you have a Federal Reserve chairman that is very experienced and capable and has a very long memory and has the contacts and speaks with leaders all over the world, friend and foe. So Scott Bessent explained to me that firing Jerome too late Powell, the worst Federal Reserve chairman in history. Well, I think Trump appointed him. That Bessent said it would be bad for the market. Trump said in a social media post. And Trump denies that Bessent spoke to him about it or tried to reach him on Sunday to say, hey, don't do this. And Trump went on to say on his social media post, nobody had to explain to me. No one needed to explain that to me. I know better than anybody what's good for the market and what's good for the USA, he added. If it weren't for me, the market wouldn't be at a record high that it is right now. It probably would have crashed. So get your information correct. And he's pointing towards the Wall Street Journal. People don't explain to me, I explain to them. When reached for a comment, the Fed said it doesn't have anything to share. Now they have that in quotation. So someone said it doesn't have anything to share. That isn't, I have no comment, or we're not going to discuss that. It's just that I don't have anything to share. Trump sued the Journal for alleged defamation Friday. Okay. And, that was more about, the letter and stuff that no one can prove yet. Yeah, show the letter. Show the photo. Show his signature. Show everything. Show us how you got it. How'd you get that letter? Who gave it to you? Oh, no, we don't have to do. Well, there you go. So, Trump's legal complaint said the story had caused overwhelming financial and reputational harm for the president, pressing for billions of dollars in damages. The defendants concocted this story to malign President Trump's character and integrity and deceptively portrayed him in a false light. So this is all to do with Epstein again, and it's a distraction. There isn't much news out there on anything new that we don't know. And, you know, people, you have to realize, and I really wish you'd sit back and do this. And I tell this to my wife, I tell this to my brother, and these are smart people, that any of this stuff contained that you think you'll see or be released has been so sanitized already and already spoken about that all it will do will be the same thing that was discussed. There's nothing new in there. Now, when I say there's nothing new that they can release. Now, the transcripts of a grand jury, I thought those really couldn't be released. So I don't know what's being, what's talking about being released and stuff. I thought that, grand jury testimony, it is almost impossible to penetrate that. Because that was the big problem in Georgia. When Trump wanted that information. I want to know what the grand jury was told. I wanted to do it. And they said, no, you can't do that. You can't have it. And then, went back and forth. So that's enough. Yeah, I know. Every time I mention Trump, my phone rings. So I know that, Donald, I'll call you. Stop worrying about the Epstein. It's fakaka. Keep showing how good the economy is doing, how good the immigration enforcement's going. Go to your high points. Go to your high points. You weren't elected because of Epstein. You weren't elected because of opening the files on JFK or Bobby Kennedy or Martin Luther King. You were not elected because of that. And don't let it distract you. I'd like this stuff released. I'm getting told by others that it cannot be released. I'm looking to see, is it possible for me to declassify it? But I might not be able to do that in certain instances because there are rules about it. So, I will certainly, anything that could be released that we don't know of already, and I want people who are innocent bystanders of Jeffrey Epstein to be protected. I don't want them, I want to shield them. There's no reason. They're not doing it. They've never been investigated, nor was there a reason to investigate them. And if that's the case, you don't need to know who they are. And you'll have people, yes, we want to know who everyone is. No, you don't get that. All right, with that, I'm going to finish this up. I will get this out later today. This will not go out live, of course, always goes out live. And we send that out. I don't edit it. I don't fix it. If I do make a mistake and I do need to make a correction, go look at my content, my videos, will be the same date, will be the same episode numbers and things like that. But my live is live, and my content on video, that is the edited show you will see up there. You'll see my little stuff. No, I always go over the shoulder. You know, anything I text and I put up there as little hints or corrections are always up over here somewhere. All right. Give to a charity if you can give to a charity. Charity does begin at home. Make sure you're dealing with an honest and reputable charity. You go to that charity, they don't come to you. If you're not comfortable with that, give some cans to a food bank. And toilet paper, diapers, clothes, anything that you can give. There's people that need it, because you might not think that's a lot. You know, I'm giving 4 cans. I feel funny giving 4 cans. Someone who doesn't have a can, that's a lot. So, you go to the store, buy one, get one free. Give that free one. You got it for free. Give it to a food bank. You'll feel good. Say a prayer. Prayer does work. Hug people. You don't know if they're going to be there to hug. And with that, I'm going to fade to black, hopefully.